Jesus, wait a minute. Anytime I see you these days, you're looking better. Good evening, hello, welcome to the show. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody that celebrates, apparently. It's the whole earth. Hope you're doing good today. You might be having a little drink. I am not. Today we're going to be checking out 4 ways British and American St. Patrick's Day celebrations are very different. Very excited to see this. I'm going to go ahead and assume that you guys probably do this better than the Irish and everyone else that celebrates it does it. I'm going to say you guys go all out. Either way, before I click play, ladies and gentlemen, I would love it if you could hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. If you do both, I promise you will get at least 8.5 months of great luck. Not good luck, great luck. Let's go.
Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond. And one of those memos pertains to holidays and observances, and specifically holidays and observances by the name of St. Patrick's Day. And you might be thinking, but Lawrence, that's an Irish holiday. What's this got to do with Britain and America? Well, firstly, Britain...
Hey, man, you know what? Who gives a yeah, you know what I mean? If there's a celebration that involves drink, I'm in.
Britain and America is what my show is about. And secondly, both Britain and America have a relatively high percentage of Irish diaspora. That is, people who are ethnically Irish or their descendants who live outside of the island of Ireland.
Yes.
Try saying that after 12 Guinnesses. Given the occasion's well-known relationship with alcohol, I said,
God, I would love a Guinness right now. I feel like I've let you guys down. I should be drinking a Guinness right now, shouldn't I?
But before we look at some of the differences between British and American St. Patrick's Day, what is this day all about? Well,
it's about St. Patrick.
St. Patty's Day, as it's known throughout the world, or just North America, is a religious celebration held on March 17th, marking the perceived date of death of St. Patrick, the most prominent patron saint of Ireland. It's a date when lots of people, Irish or otherwise, like to dress in green, and I've just realised I'm wearing green the day before St. Patrick's Day in order to film this video, meaning that they'll stink by tomorrow, so I'm counting on everybody being too drunk to notice. Anyway, without any more mucking about, here are 4 ways that British and American St. Patrick's Days are very different.
I'm trying to figure out what they could actually be. Surely it's just a day to drink. Man, I know you guys dye a river somewhere. Is it Chicago? You guys dye a river green, right? That's pretty cool and going like, what happens to the fish? Are they all right? Is the fish okay?
We can hardly talk about British versus American St. Patrick's Days without acknowledging the Irish diaspora in both countries.
Don't know what that word means.
Britain and America have seen several Irish migrations into their countries. Most
Jesus, wait a minute, hey, what are we doing down here? Where's this, Japan? We're in Japan? Is that Japan?
Several Irish migrations into their countries, most notably during the Great Famine of the mid-19th century.
Not a great time.
And reading around the internet, I often detect a sense of bewilderment among British people and probably Irish people as well. How so many Americans claim that they're Irish just because their great-great-great-great-aunt twice removed, if that's even a thing, happened to come from Dublin. And indeed, about 36 million Americans, that's about a tenth of the country, do claim Irish as their primary ancestry.
36
and
million.
I get the sense that when Irish Americans say I'm Irish, they don't literally mean I'm Irish. They just acknowledge that Irish
they got a little bit of it in them.
Family's history.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, this also happens in Britain, and why shouldn't it? After all,
hey man, let me tell you something. See, if you've got a little bit of Irish inside you, you call yourself Irish. You don't let anybody else tell you any different, all right? You do. You be proud of that.
Well, it is estimated that about 6 million Brits, again about 10% of the population, have at least one Irish grandparent. So clearly in both countries, Irish ancestry is strong. So it only stands to reason that they have celebrations to match. You might be surprised to learn that the modern-day vision of a St. Patrick's Day celebration, with parades and the like, originated not in Ireland, but the United States of America. In fact, there is some evidence that the very first parade took place in St. Augustine, Florida in 1601, 20 years before the Mayflower set sail.
1601?
The story goes that this parade was organized by an Irish vicar who happened to belong to the Spanish colony. And then later in the 1700s, just as they do today, the Irish communities of Boston, New York, and Philadelphia popularized St. Patrick's Day parades, and after a while these traditions caught on.
This is awesome, man. This is so cool. I think this is a really, really nice touch. Cool.
Not just in the United States, but throughout the world. And having now lived extensively in both Britain and America, my feeling is that America goes a little bit more gung-ho for St. Patrick's Day than perhaps the British do.
Yeah.
That's not to say the British don't celebrate. They absolutely do. It's just in America, it seems
I had to be reminded today that it was St. Patrick's Day because I was going over to get a new phone, and my mum was like, Adam, it might be busy because it's St. Patrick's Day, and I was like, wait, what? But yeah, it's St. Patrick's Day today, man. I only realized today. Not great. But the reason I'm saying that is because he said America go gung-ho with the celebration, so I doubt you're going to forget that it's St. Patrick's Day in America, especially Chicago when there's a green river and people dressed as a leprechaun rowing down the middle of the canal. We got nothing here, man. I live in Northern Ireland, and there's nothing about. It's, honestly, bad word coming here, shite.
Or massive and you know, loud. And you might be thinking, well, Lawrence, you live in Chicago. Of course it's bigger and louder there. And that's true. But even when I lived in Indiana, my work colleagues, many of whom had no connection to Ireland whatsoever, were absolutely aghast that I forgot to wear green. And they pinched me. What is that all about? Well, the pinching thing seems to be a tradition among people in both countries and also, of course, Ireland. And according to the internet, as the tradition goes, like wearing green on St. Patrick's Day is supposed to make you invisible to leprechauns, right? And we all need that. They will pinch you as soon as you come up on their radar if you don't wear green. I'm pretty certain that Susie from accounts was not a leprechaun, so what's her excuse? Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked by leprechauns again. Is there any data to back up my theory that Americans, Irish or otherwise, are more into the dressing green thing than British people are?
No.
Well, no. But I do have some data to prove that it's by no means just Americans with Irish ancestry that wear green. Yesterday, I put out a poll asking this. American followers, do you typically make an effort to wear green on St. Patrick's Day? After 953 votes, 47.7% of Twitter respondents said yay, and just over 52% said nay. And just in case that's not a large enough data set for the likes of Uncle Toby, I put the same poll out on YouTube. Of the 10,000 who voted, 51% said yes, and 49% said
hey man, the YouTube votes is what matters.
no. So whichever way we slice it, we can make a reasonable estimate that around about half of all Americans typically plan to wear green on St. Patrick's Day.
Nice.
Now, it is possible that this is about the same in Britain. Unfortunately, I don't have enough British followers to formulate a reliable data set, but from memory, I don't really remember people making a big deal out of it. And one clue that could back up my observation is the size of the parades themselves. Although cancelled in 2020 and 2021 due to the effects of COVID-19, Britain's largest St. Patrick's Day event is purported to be the Birmingham Parade, which attracts about 100,000 people, which, you know, that's a lot of people. At least I thought it was. The US boasts several cities with attendance figures greater even than that. Among them San Francisco, Kansas City, Boston, Philadelphia, Savannah. But easily with over 2 million spectators. The biggest parties are to be found in New York City and right here in Chicago. New York's is so big that it has more
2 million people at the parade in one go on the same day in the same spot. The population of Ireland is estimated to be approximately 5.3 million. So you got nearly half of the population of Ireland going to one single parade in America.
More marchers in its parade than the Birmingham parade has attendees. And of course, one of the draws of the Chicago parade is the dyeing of the river. Indeed, with rivers, fountains, and dare I say it, ponds, producing green liquid is a big part of the American experience on St. Patrick's Day. Or, in many cases, the weekend before St. Patrick's Day.
Are they celebrating too?
And that brings us on to this. In Ireland, not surprisingly, St. Patrick's Day is a public holiday. This means that for the most part, Irish people can partake in the festivities without having to complete that spreadsheet for Susie from accounts. But in Britain and America, it's not quite like that. Hence why I was even in a position to be pinched by Susie in the
and hence why I was able to go get a new phone.
First place. Because despite the large number of Irish Americans and the fact that St. Patrick's Day is America's third biggest drinking day of the calendar year, the celebration just isn't a public holiday.
St. Patrick's Day is America's third biggest drinking holiday.
The fact that St. Patrick's Day is America's third biggest drinking day of the calendar year.
That's mental. Jesus, what's first and second? Christmas and Thanksgiving? Yo, there's no way it's that popular.
The celebration just isn't a public holiday here. And as I alluded to, the very same is true of Britain. And you might be thinking, Lawrence, this is supposed to be a video about the differences between British and American St. Patrick's Day. Well, let me finish, because there is something I didn't get a chance to say. There is, in fact, a British overseas territory where St. Patrick's Day is a public holiday.
Where?
And that is the Caribbean island of Montserrat. Now,
where the is that? Montserrat? What the hell is that?
Due to the threat of volcanoes on the island.
Hell's Gate? Or what is this? Soldier Got Bay. Where is this? Spanish Point, Farm Bay, Blackburn Airport.
And the imposition of an exclusion zone, the island is home to fewer than 5,000 people. But a good percentage of those are people of Irish ancestry. Okay. Even the territory's flag features Erin, the personification of Ireland, in a green dress. And I can only hope that she went easy on the Guinness, because that looks like an expensive harp. Oh yeah, and speaking of expense... Like all well-meaning holidays / celebrations, the original modest affair of St. Patrick's Day has given way to corporatization and mass merchandising. But when it comes to Britain and America...
I was going to ask this, like, on St. Patrick's Day today, like, where you from, you know, around all the parades, do they sell a lot of stuff? Like leprechauns and stuff on it? Like, you know, just really milk it? Do they do that over there, man?
How much does each country spend on St. Patrick's Day each year? And the answer to that is not easy to find, at least when it comes to Britain. I was able to find a statistic touted by the St. Patrick's Centre that between them, the US and Britain spend about £5.9 billion for...
I'm sorry. 5.9 billion with a B. On what? Guinness?
5.9 billion pounds. For currency completists, that's $7.76 billion. And from what I was able to deduce, around $6 billion of that is spent by American consumers, meaning that we're left to assume that Brits on average spend about $1.75 billion, and no, that's not per person. But it is about 1.1 billion pounds. Personally, I'm a bit skeptical that these numbers are true. I mean, after all, the St. Patrick's Centre incorrectly asserts on its website...
Well, nah, because if you... Well, wait a minute.
That
surely if there's 2 million people going to parades all over the country, it might not be that much, that crazy of a stat, right?
Patrick's Day is a nationally recognised holiday in the United States. But if they were, it would mean that Brits spend significantly more on St. Patrick's Day paraphernalia and beer than Americans do. And now that I've said beer out loud, it makes sense. So when it comes to the comparative grandness and gremliness of celebrations in Britain and America, we've only got my admittedly dubious polls, my potentially tainted observations, and a highly unsourced website on which to base our findings. I mean, it almost sounds like a conversation you might have in a pub at 11 PM on St.
Hey man, listen, we'll just believe it for the crack. Let's just believe it for the crack. You know what I mean?
Day or on Twitter. That's it for this episode. Let me know in the comments.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Or thank you, Lawrence, more importantly. Okay, ladies and gents. Now I'm talking to you. Hello, doing good? All right. Thank you for watching today's video. If you guys are getting up to anything fun tonight, you know, get out there celebrating. Be safe. Have fun. Have a couple on me. Well, not on me because I'm not paying for it, but have a couple and cheers to the air and think of me. And I'll do it back. I won't do it back because I'm not able to know you're doing it, but have a good day.